Hi class. So this is going to be the tutorial video for getting started with your full figure about 12 inches height. I gave a couple of resources, put them on Canvas for creating your figures. I think one of the easiest ones to use for sculpting in the round online is Vimeo's Croquis Cafe 360. So you would do vimeo.com/channels/croquis, CROQUIS, cafe 360. And that's going to give you poses that are in the round. You can pause the videos so that you can see the same gesture from multiple angles. In your initial homework for this project, I asked all of you to come up with a verb that your character is doing, what they are responding, either interacting or interacting with an object. Both it could be either internal or external, like an emotion. They might be grieving or kind of built up with excitement that exists outside of the frame, or they could have an object that they're interacting with. The third prompt was to think about scale. So if you do have something that they're interacting with within the same frame, that you might change the scale relationship. That maybe generally you would have an apple relative to the size of the figure would only be about this big, but you might enlarge that to kind of emphasize what that interaction is trying to communicate. So, and then how you're modeling it, if you're modeling it really kind of rough or smooth, realistic, or you have kind of a stylized interpretation. Many of you seemed interested in mythology, so it might be part human, and they don't have to be nude, but it's a good place to start unless you have a reason for a particular style of dress that they're going to be wearing. Build that in to the idea that you're wanting to express with these figures. So there are a lot of resources online for figuring out the proportions within a figure if you are trying to make it somewhat realistic. Generally speaking, if you take the height of the head, it's going to be about 6.5 heads high, but that depends on the person. I highly recommend when you are getting started on your figure that you don't spend too much time doing the details right off the bat, that you really want to try and get all of the clay stuck onto the armature first, and then after you have all of the clay together, then you can start refining that shape that will lead you towards the final product. This is sculpted solid. I'm using the armature to help hold it up so it doesn't fall down. And I'm going to transition to a time lapse so you can watch me work for about an hour, and then I will do a follow-up with you at our next class WebEx meeting. Okay, thanks for watching. All right, class. So that was a time lapse of one revolution. That was kind of the first pass to flush in everything, try and get the proportions about right, start to see the weight of the figure. I'd probably end up doing about 3 rotations. Working outside, it's drying really fast. I'm having to spray it quite a lot. If you're able to work indoors, I think you'll have less frustration trying to keep the clay from drying out on you. So for the next couple rotations, I'll probably work indoors, but I figure for the purpose of demonstration, the lighting is nice out here. When I started that video, I had accidentally broken off this top bar, so I had to reinsert that because the top of the figure was wanting to tip one way or the other. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the clay rest in my damp box, so that if there are any drier or wetter parts, that it kind of all equalizes before I continue on. I will also, since this figure in particular is going to be interacting with the hand sculpture that I made, I'm going to be pulling that hand sculpture out and starting to adjust these legs, so the height, and kind of maybe manipulating the figure a little bit so that it is engaging and interacting with an uneven ground surface. If you want to have, say, a leg up in the air, you can always just make a little clay pedestal, something like this, and it doesn't have to be attached to the leg, but you could lift the leg up and have it resting at the right height that you need. And then when you're done sculpting and it's getting fired, you can just remove this afterwards. So this will just go all the way through the kiln with the sculpture. And again, the only tools I was using for roughing in the figure is just the knife tool and my hands and the spray bottle, and that's it. As I refine, I might be bringing in a couple other little tools, but this is about all you need to work with. Again, the website I was using is Croquis Cafe 360 on Vimeo, and thanks for tuning in.